How we doing today, folks? I know it's been a while, it's been a long time. I apologize. College has hit me a lot harder. You can tell my face is very tired. I'm very tired. But I am back, and there's been a lot of crazy stuff that's happened since my last video. Obviously, the hurricanes in Texas and the hurricanes in Puerto Rico, most recent, and obviously the evil, vile acts in Las Vegas, for which the man is now burning in hell. Very unfortunate things, and I pray that this country starts to embrace, I don't know, better morality, or at least more people kind of turn to Judeo-Christian principles, because it seems like the further and further we get away from those, the more heinous acts by people tend to happen. And my thoughts and prayers, obviously, which I hope all of yours do, go out to those affected by it and the victims of it. And we're just lucky to see heroes there, at least, putting their lives on the line, and some of them actually dying to protect others and to help others and to save others. So I thank you for all those that did that. Okay, folks, so a lot of craziness going in my classes. So many notes on my classes. So I have so much material to talk about and go on. So this film, this episode is going to be on the film 13th. The film 13th is created and directed by Ava DuVernay, someone very much to the left, black female, a leftist, whatever you can say. So clearly is not huge on the prison system and the criminal justice system in our country. Thinks that blacks are very much unjustifiably targeted by police and justifiably sentenced, imprisoned, and so on and so forth. And she believes that basically this new wave of crime, not this new wave, but this wave of crime where there's a lot of black males specifically being imprisoned, is kind of the new form of slavery. It's crap. It's all crap. It lacks a lot of... It's almost like CNN, how they lie. A lot of times they don't lie because they're saying maybe a wrong statistic. A lot of times they lie because they leave the rest of the statistic out. So it just plays into their narrative. Really malicious of them. So I'm not going to break down the whole movie, but I'm just going to go over a few points that basically, like I said, the imprisonment of black males, given the percentage of how many blacks live in the U.S., which is 13%, is unjustifiable, and basically they are too overrepresented in the prison system. Of course, obviously, anyone that doesn't know anything about the statistics or numbers behind this, they're going to look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that's institutional racism." Excuse me. That's absolutely wrong. So let's look at a couple statistics and let's look at why. Let's start out with here. Let me get my notes for y'all. My infamous notes. So Professor Roland Fryer, black professor by the way out of Harvard, says, quote, "Blacks are less likely to be shot by cops than whites in 10 scenarios. Blacks in general are less likely to be shot by cops." So that's one. And something interesting to note about Fryer's study is he actually went into the study with a bias of thinking, I'm going to prove to everyone that the criminal justice system and the policing forces are racist towards blacks, basically. He went in there with this mindset because he got really angry at the Michael Brown shootings and the Trayvon Martin shootings, and so he went in there to prove a point, disproved his point, and actually proved a different point, the point that tends to go on the side of cops and on the side of conservatives. In 2015, whites consisted of 50% of those that were shot by cops, and blacks were 26% of those shot by cops. Now, at first you might think, well, wait, if blacks are 13% of the population, but there's 26% of those shot by cops, well, then isn't that proof of racism? Isn't that proof of the targeting of blacks? Well, once again, if you don't know the statistics, sure, you could fall into that lie. But let's look at it. Let's look at the 2015 crime statistics by race and ethnicity. This is off of FBI, by the way, FBI statistics of crime. So, for murder and non-negligent manslaughter, there were about 8,500 of those cases that happened in 2015. Okay. over 4,000 of those were committed by blacks. Over 4,000. That means 51.1%, as it says here, 51.1% were committed by blacks. Okay, that's atrocious. 45.9% committed by whites. And I don't know how many whites make up the statistic of whites in this country, but that doesn't matter. That's atrocious, given the percentage and the number of black people in comparison to all the other peoples in the U.S. So let's go on. So Heather McDonald. So this is Heather McDonald's book, The War on Cops. It's a very good book. I recommend it. I don't know if I've recommended it before in a previous video. I can't remember. It's all about the Ferguson effect and basically how crime has been on a decrease ever since the 80s. It's been on a decrease since the 80s. However, ever since the Ferguson effect and the Michael Brown shooting, shooting spiked way up and crime spiked up, which is very unfortunate, of course, because a lot of, I guess, black young males felt that they had the righteous indignation to now commit more crime. And obviously we've seen murder of cops since then, the horrible assault on cops since then, both in the media and physically speaking as well. So as Heather McDonald points out, blacks commit 60% of robberies, 62% of robberies, 57% of murders, and 45% of assaults. Excuse me, I think it's 52% of murders, apologize, and 45% of assaults. And this is all mentioned in their book, The War on Cops. Okay, once again, that's absolutely atrocious. The only statistic that could even possibly play into the liberals' hands is another one that is made in Fryer's study, which is that blacks are more likely to come into physical contact by cops. So that means stop and frisk, that means put up against the wall, maybe the hand on the cop car, stuff like that being searched. But however, when you want to, like I just pointed out the statistics here that Heather McDonald researched, when you want to look at how much more crime that they do when it comes to robbery, when it comes to assault, well, there's obviously they're going to have stop and frisk. Well, obviously they're going to be physically in contact with more by cops. That's just obvious. That's not the cop's fault. The cop didn't say, oh, because you're black, I'm going to touch you. It's not the cop's fault that black males statistically commit more violent crime in this country and way overrepresent themselves when it comes to committing crime in this country. Once again, the FBI statistics point this out, and so this is a very a more well-known study. Ben Shapiro, I know, toasts this study all the time. It's a very good study. I suggest that y'all look it up. I'll put the source for it under the video. So Peter Moskos of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice found that whites are 1.7 times more likely to die by cops, to die at the hand of cops. 1.7 times more likely to die at the hand of cops than blacks. That's absolutely, I mean, obviously there's more whites in this country, but if blacks are committing more crime, and in fact, what's also another interesting thing to note real quick is, if anything, and found by Heather McDonald and other studies that support this, is that blacks are underrepresented in prison. When you really take the amount of crime that is done by race and ethnicity, in certain areas, of course, and more specific areas, of course, but all throughout, I just mean more specific areas where more crime happens, inner cities, and we see the race of those that commit more crimes and what certain kind of crimes, we see that actually blacks are underrepresented when it comes to arrests and when it comes to being imprisoned. I mean, if anything, we need more cops, not just let more people out of prison so they can commit more crime, which the recidivism rate for blacks is higher, is too high in my opinion for their percentage of their population in the U.S. as well. So folks, this is all just, whenever you hear the lie that the cops are out to get blacks, that is an absolute, that's crap. That's absolute crap. How about if blacks stop committing 60% of the robberies, they stop committing 52% of the murders and 45% of assaults? Most murders that they commit are on one another, by the way. So this recent push against the racist system is crap. Why don't you, and this kneeling of NFL players is absolute crap. How about instead the NFL players go to their communities and say, stop killing each other? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that, and then we'll see what the cops can maybe do differently in certain scenarios. How about that? So it's just absolutely hypocritical for those NFL players as well. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm back. I promise I'm not going to take another pause like that, just like last time. The world's getting crazier, and my professor's getting crazier, and I'm going to keep taking notes. I'm going to keep showing just how crazy they can be. So thank you so much. My name is Wyatt, and I'm the College Conservative.